Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Creator Space and our digital drawing cartoon movement, and looking at how to draw action and cartoons in cartoons. My name is Tom Sternad. I'm the lead digital artist of the Creator Space, and yeah, thanks for joining us. And it's going to be a really exciting session today. Jeff Wilson is our illustrator, animator, cartoonist. He will take us through this journey. And there's here's some of his work. So we're really happy and pleased to have Jeff doing this project with us. The software we're using is the Procreate software. So that's a low-cost app that you can get directly for iPads, iPhones. There's other apps out there too, but this is what we're using, and it's a great app. You can rewatch this webinar on Crowdcast. So by being here and signing up for it, you can watch this again right after. And feel free to put in some questions as we go. We have our whole question portal here, so you can write questions in and type stuff in as we're going. And then we can get to those at the end. So we'll spend, have about 10 minutes at the end. We can do a Q&A with Jeff. Yeah, so it's really great. Welcome everyone to this. In terms of, want to definitely thank all of our partners on this. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts. We have our library partners, Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. So without any further ado, I will pass it over to Jeff.
Okay, and thank you so much, Tom, and welcome everyone to another cartooning session today. We're doing cartoon action and movement, and it's pretty exciting. It's what brings the cartoon to life. It's what we do this for. I think really. I know the comic strip can be just a basic thing where the mouths move, but what really attracted me to it was the ability to just make things come to life, basically create movement in life, and that's the exciting part for me. I'm just going to turn my camera down to my screen here, and I'm just going to show you my little image on the screen here. It's a stick man. A stick man is like the beginning to me. It's the beginning of all the cartoon stuff. Stickman, this is something I wrote down at the bottom here. Flipbook, try one. Flipbooks are a great way of putting the stickman into action. And basically, I was guilty of doing this when I was in public school, was drawing little stick characters in the corner of my notebooks, which we had in those days, and I don't know if they have today. And draw the stickman in various movements that would create a little cartoon when you flipped it. And it was, I got into some trouble with teachers, but I learned a lot actually from, in school by doing this, creating flip books. And this is something a lot of animators have done in the past, is to create flip books. And what they are is basically creating a little cartoon, a little moving cartooning, like a running stickman, or a stickman jumping off a building, or jumping into a car, or chasing a car. So, and action, I just have a little explanation of action here too. Now, in a cartoon, you start in the balanced movement here, and I'm showing you the stickman is in balance here. He's kind of in control of his balance. Now, what you have to do next is take that character out of balance, and then with the hope of regaining balance at the end. So, and at the end we do regain balance, because we've got several forces like gravity and and other things that will bring us back into balance. First of all, the first part of action is anticipation. Now, in this particular little tune here, I've got the character falling sideways. So you notice that now he is not straight up and down perpendicular here. He's tipped to the side a bit. We're just going to show that here. The stick man is in a fall sideways. So this is, you could have started this movement by having him in the opposite place here, kind of leaning this way, and then falling the other way. So this might have been your anticipation movement, and then beginning to fall the other way. So that's always important when if you're an animator. That's important to add that motion. If you're just doing cartooning, it's usually the extreme movements like the beginning and the end, or in this case, this could indicate somebody falling to the ground. This third scene here where falling toward the ground. You'll notice the angle toward the ground is increasing, and then the momentum and the force of gravity, the force of momentum and the force of gravity bring him to the ground, and he's landed on his hands here. So he's come to a point of rest again and a point of balance again. So that's a basic explanation of movement. And you can do this in a flip book. Try it out sometime if you have, and I would really highly recommend. I wouldn't recommend doing it in school books if you're in school, but if you have like a notebook or sorry, not a notebook, a sketchbook, you can easily do this and create your character doing things, and you really learn a lot about animating and learn a lot about movement in doing that. Okay, so let's have a look here at my next here, a little different explanation here, showing the same thing, the balance, the figure in balance, and it could be a car or it could be any kind of object. It doesn't have to be a person. It can be an animal, a piece of machinery, something that's mobile, starts at a point of balance, the anticipated movement, so it's going one way to anticipate moving the other way, and then here we have showing the motion going from, let's see here, let's get the right layer here, so going right to left here, so it would be going this way, going left to right, and then of course the final post motion, which is showing the and these all can come into a cartoon. You can do a several panels cartoon where you're showing these things and showing the balance, like the beginning point, the anticipation where you're getting ready to do the activity, and then the motion, the figure or the object moving, and then the post motion showing, wow, it's moved pretty fast, or it's gone, it's now gone. So that's another explanation of that. So let's go into staging now. And staging is a very important part of motion. And the reason I want to talk about it is because you can really okay, let's make sure we have the right stuff here. You can really tell a story very well if you learn a few points here about staging. Now, staging is basically setting up your scene, and it can be an animation scene, it can be a cartoon scene, it can be any kind of image scene where you are telling a story and you're using the tools and the imagery in the best way to do that. Now, I've got two images here to start with, and it's a woman talking with her hand and using her hand to express herself, and a gentleman here with a notepad and a pen, obviously taking notes as to what she's saying. And then on the right of that is another version of this where they're in a different pose. And so just think about these two for a minute and think about which tells the story better, which is impressing you more as being getting the story across. Now, here's a couple more images. This is a couple of boxers that are fighting. In this first one, you've got the one boxer is with his back to us, and the other boxer facing us, and it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. There's a lot of the bodies are obstructed, and it's a little difficult to tell, but it still tells a story. Then the next image on the right side is the two boxers. You can see what's going on, that they're sizing each other up, and they're kind of boxing, and so think about these two and think about which of those is more telling the story. The first one is showing the emotion of the one figure. It's showing that the other figure here to the front of him is is certainly in a fighting pose, but it's really obscured, and it might be hard to the viewer to tell what's going on. Whereas this one here, it's a little further away, maybe, and the movement is fairly clear. There's not too much obstructed by it, and yeah, it's what would you see as being the better one? And then we have the old rabbit in the hat gag, which was something that was very big, uh, very big in the day. But I don't know how many people have seen magicians pulling rabbits out of hats anymore. But here we see the magician pulling the rabbit out of the hat on the left side, and then the silhouette. And if we just think for a second, that silhouette, is it easy to tell what's going on there? And yeah, that's how, when you're laying out a scene, you should always try to plan that. How does it look if it was in a silhouette? Is it telling a story, or is it still a bit obscured? And here we see a similar scene where the magician is in a different position, holding the rabbit in a different position, and then we see the silhouette. Is it telling a better story than this one? You be the judge, and we'll just see what I felt was telling the story better. And I felt like everything on the left side was not telling as good a story as what was on the right side, as told by the green checks. And I'm going to just go back here and do a little bit of explaining as to why I feel that way. It's just it's certainly, I'm just expressing my thoughts on it, but it's something that I think as a reader, or as a comic reader, or as a cartoon consumer, you may agree with. In this first scene with the man and the person taking the notes, or sorry, the woman and the gentleman taking the notes, they're facing the reader, or facing the camera, we could say, and they're certainly, it's a fun drawing, but it's hard to tell they're interacting. They're more facing the camera, and it's maybe easier to draw a character just facing us, but it may not be telling the story to the reader as well. So that's why we try to draw characters looking in different positions, and they're just basically static poses as well here. Let's go to the next part of the pose here, the second pose, and you see they're facing each other, and in both in 3/4 to profile views, and you can tell they're interacting. She's speaking to him, and he's paying attention to her. So there's an interaction there that I think was kind of lost in that first one. So I think that's why, to me, this one works better. And also the movement here I see is they're kind of leaning in toward each other here. You'll see there's kind of a the composition basically is moving in together there. So it's causing an interaction here. Let's go to our boxers now. And this is a fun one here. The two boxers kind of having it out here. Now this tells a story somewhat, and it's it certainly, it could make a good scene in the, but it doesn't by itself. I don't think it really tells the story. It could be one scene in a one vignette in a long scene, but it doesn't really tell the story as well as this one here, because you see the boxers, they're sizing each other up. They're obviously very obvious. If you had them in silhouette, you could see the movement kind of toward each other. There's kind of a composition where it kind of builds toward the center. So I think the composition wise, it works better, and it's using the movement of the figures too. And just they're obviously interacting. I mean, you could have one of them turning the other way or running the other way, I guess, too, and it would tell the story too. So it basically tells the story that our figure A is showing as well. Now our rabbit in the hat guy. This first one, he's got it all in front of him, and in the silhouette, you just see this. I don't know what it looks like. It looks like it could be anything. It's really not clear. But whereas in here the movement is very clear. It's the upward motion of the rabbit, and kind of the backwards motion here of your figure. Whereas in this one here, it's this way, but it's all kind of obscured. And so I think this one does tell the better story. And so that's a couple of little tips that I could give you. One of the really great things that I can show you is the, let's see here. Yeah, I think we're going to look at some key movements here. This is a little baseball figure I've shown here. And you've got the kind of the anticipated movement. If you were starting from the beginning of the pitcher's move, you would probably have him standing in a balanced position and basically stepping forward to make the pitch here. And then we see him with the follow through. So these are the two early movements that would be extreme movements in a pitcher's movement. And what we can do now is we can add a layer here, if I might, just maybe add one above that, and maybe use a different color pen here. And I've kind of got all the, you'll notice that the head is pretty much the same volume and the body is basically the same volume. That's really important in doing these type of drawings. And we'll try to do something in the middle here of what these figures would be doing. So I'm just going to expand our screen a bit here and put the figure's head in here. Try to keep the same shape, and I'm trying to keep the movement going as well. Keep it fairly consistent. So we have the hips here, and we'll try to draw the arm and the hand here with the baseball. So we'll try to get all the movement in here. So we'll have the and at this point I'm just sketching. I'm just kind of getting a feel for the movement here, and then what I'm trying to do here is to get showing the glove here, the movement of the glove toward the back as he's moving forward. And this one foot has to eventually touch down where he's got it landing here. So what we're going to do is just have the foot pulling forward and maybe stretching toward that spot that he's going to land on in a split second here as the cartoon continues. We'll have this leg here stretch down to this spot. So this would be your in-between movement. It would be the pitcher would be, the ball would go from here from a fairly close with the back basically toward where the ball is going, turning the top part of the torso very quickly toward the target where the pitch is going, and the arm flexed in almost like in a bending motion. So it's bending, and it's going to, I would say, probably about here. If we followed it through, it would probably be bent here, and the arm would still be flexed forward, still like a still kind of that whip action and following through, and then the foot getting closer to landing. So it's a good exercise to see, and you're also keeping your volumes the same as you can, and it's between I guess basically this action and this action where the ball is released. So it'll probably be released about here, I guess. And the thing about animations, you don't have to show the release point. You can show follow through. It actually works better if you don't show the point where the ball is released. So you would just basically show here and then the follow through here, which just shows the quickness of the motion. So that gives you an idea in 4 poses how to do that. And you could do that in a flip book as well. And one other exercise I would suggest to do is the, let's just delete these here, is a nice exercise, which I like, is doing gesture poses. And I'll just bring it to, and it's just basically, I start usually with stickman too. It's not something that I'm too, this is a good exercise for getting loosening up your hand to get into some action poses. And just take a stickman, or if you've got a character you want to do it, if you want a character that you want to move around, you can do that too. Take your stickman and put him into him or her into different type of poses here using shapes here. I don't know what they're doing there, but they could be doing, I don't know, they could be doing, let me just do something here. Just because, if he's going to all this action, he should be doing something. So maybe he could be doing shoveling the snow, like I had to do a few days ago. Shoveling snow. Do something like that. Or one of the things that I like to practice drawing is kicking a ball. That's always a fun one. And you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing here. Try your own way of doing it. And you see here in both of these cases, there's your balance point. And so you see your figure here is a little bent this way, but he's also keeping his balance. He's got he's got like a leverage here with both legs, so he's keeping his balance. Now this figure here is completely off balance. If he was stopped, he would be falling backwards. But because he is, we sense that he's moving forward, he would go here and he would probably land and balance about here somewhere, and maybe with one foot before the other. So you keep that in mind too, is that your figures may look off balance. You don't necessarily want them to stay unbalanced in the shot, but you know that later that they're going to land, they're going to balance at some point. And let's try another one. Oh, and by the way, anytime you are doing any kind of motion like running, when a figure in a cartoon anyway, I don't know if it's the same for animation per se, but certainly in a cartoon, if a figure is really running fast, both feet are off the ground, and a little cartoon shorthand is the little puffs of smoke showing that they're going fast, and of course the motion line showing they're going fast. So if they're off the ground, you would assume that this character is going very fast. So as opposed to, let's say, you can do this another way, and you can do it many ways. You can do it where they're in mid stride and their foot is actually touching the ground. Now, this isn't to say that they aren't going fast. It's just saying that this might be in mid stride and may not look they're going that fast. Their foot is touching the ground. But they to make it show that they're going fast, you have the feet at extended motion and the arms extended, and they're off the ground, and it really says to the reader, I'm running really fast, or this character's running fast. Whereas this one might be running really fast, but it isn't that clear to the reader or the viewer that they are just by that image. So if you have to keep that in mind when you're doing a cartoon image, like as one image is telling the story, you make sure that that it's clear by the movement, that it's speed, or if it's could be just sauntering, walking. We can certainly show that too, just kind of a slow walk. And usually a little forward, but it doesn't have to be. Certainly the characters, the stick figures moving forward is leaning forward, so you presume that they are moving this direction. And so that's a pretty good thing to keep in mind. Let's see. Yeah, so if they're doing anything, even if they're jumping in the air, let's say they're jumping for joy here. We can give them some give them a little bit of some expression here in the figure. I'm just adding a little bit of substance to their body to show them, and then one of the things you can show is if they're jumping off the ground, there's a little bit of dust that they're raising by jumping off the ground. Or if they're doing doing on a swing. Let's see. I don't know how old most of you are, but I presume you've all ridden on a swing before. And that's always an interesting thing to show in a drawing. Put their hands on the swing here, and their feet. You can show a little shadow to show the ground. Here, let's just try to make it a little clearer for the figure here. And the hands on the swing. Yeah, let's see if we can get that a little clearer there. And the hands on the swing, there's their swinging. So that's another little motion we can do. And I would certainly recommend doing this on your own, especially if you're beginning to draw. You spend the day drawing, just do maybe a page full of these or two, and let's try another one. This is fun. I think I'm learning a lot. And I always find when I do these little gesture poses, I get better at it. I feel looser. Let's try a figure running toward the camera, which may not tell the story, or maybe it will. I think I'll try a different pose for this arm here. So remember in the running motion, if you're stepping with the right foot, I still don't like that. See why you do it? You give yourself a lot of chances to experiment with it and to get what you want. So what I'm trying to achieve here is the running movement of this figure here toward you, and it's that's a bit better. And and it still tells a story. If you did a silhouette of this, it would be pretty obvious that the person was running, and that they were in motion, and they would be clearly running in this one direction. So the back arm back here would go to the back, whereas the front arm would be coming here. So, and then you can do a little shadow here to show the front. And yeah, so always make sure that the figure is pretty clear what they're doing. that they're if you had to silhouette this figure, make sure it's very clear what it is they're doing. And let's see, what could we do here? Let's just do someone falling. Which let's hope none of us do this, but I know a lot of cartoons I've drawn where people have fainted or passed out or just were scared and fell backwards. This is a good exercise too, just showing the figure off balance. So here's the figure where if it was in balance, but of course it's not, so it's on this angle. So and forwards, you can do a figure falling forwards as well. You practice these things and see what the results would be for you. You'll probably come up with better ideas than I could. A sword fighter. Let's try a fencing pose here. Again, you get they're kind of off balance to start with, but you can get the feet to get that leverage so that they're balanced again, and one arm balancing the other. Put a little fencing hat on them. Him, her, they, and so you have that forward thrusting movement, but they are balanced. You can tell they're in control of their balance here, but there is they're slightly moving forward, and but because of the leverage we're showing here on the bottom, I'm just going to change the color here to show the leverage point here. You've got stable leg here. Your left leg is stabilizing the right. The right's kind of guiding, stabilizing at the back, whereas the left is kind of the strength leg, where all the weight is here at the front. And then, of course, the arms, which are balancing each other out as well. So the arms and the placement of the body and the legs are all helping to balance the character. And you could imagine they would be, probably thrusting forward and and maybe reaching further toward the other figure they would be battling against there. So these are all things that you can practice with thumbnail drawings. And of course, once you've got a pose that you like, let's say we like this one and we want to take it a little further. Let's give it a little strength here. Let's give a little layer here. And I'm going to give it some black line, and I'm going to give this some solid line here to finish off the drawing. Let's see, am I got this on the right layer? Yes, I think I do. I just need to put this in the right place. Yeah, with this layer, with the Procreate software, you can move your layers above in different places. Let's see if I can just move that up here above this one. Good. Oh, I want it above that. Sorry about that. I'm just going to move it above the layer 10 there, which is the one where our fencing figure is. And you can see once you've got a little rough layout there, it's much easier to do your final line. And you don't, you don't need a lot of details to tell the story here. You just your movement is telling basically the whole story, which is really the beauty of doing cartoons. You can quite often, if you do a good sketch, it can be 3/4 of your drawing. Here, let's just have a look at how that looks by itself without the. So you've got a pretty solid drawing there. You could just touch it up a bit, of course, and add details to it, add color. But you've pretty much got the drawing together here. Add details, add the fill in the shoes, whatever you like. Add some cross hatching or any details you want in, some wrinkles in the shirt, to the back of the pants. Add some shadow here. So you've got a pretty solid drawing there, just from your gesture sketch. And let's try this running one here too. I thought this was one that was pretty close to being done too. We can just add some details here. You've got your muscles pretty much laid out, so just add the fingers. And the hand, and then the hand number 2. Yeah, we're just going to do a quick fill in, but you can see from this how far along this drawing really pretty much is, just from that little bit of detail there. Yeah, you've pretty much done the whole drawing there, and of course this is a very loose finishing, but you can see it's pretty close to being done. And I think I'm going to change the nose here, but you don't even need the nose if you don't want to. But yeah, you've got the sense of motion here. If you want, you can add a little shadow to the ground, and the details you can add in later, like the crowd cheering if you want to. All those things you can add to the character later. So I hope this has been helpful to show you the concept of motion and movement in cartoons, and how you can just your sketching ability, which you can develop, of course, and your yeah. Let's take a look at this one again too. The pitching one. This is basically a little animation that you can do as well. So these are a few little tricks that you can try and practice on your own time, or you can hopefully practice later today. Just give it a try and see what you can come up with. And I would say to study the if you like baseball, or if you any kind of thing that you're interested in that you want to duplicate the movement of, study that and try to duplicate it, try to create something, and you'll probably be very surprised at the results. You might be frustrated at first, but keep trying it, and I think you'll probably find you'll enjoy it very much. And if you can keep working at it, you'll get better at it. There's no doubt about it. It's all about continuing to work at it, and if you love it, you will continue, and maybe one day you'll master it, and you'll do something, animation or cartooning. That'll be something that you'll get some fulfillment of, and I can say from firsthand experience, you can get that fulfillment from it and enjoyment. And let's see, let's just kind of go back through some of the steps again. And all of these have popped up again and again. Just to reiterate, the idea of action and motion in cartoons is balance and loss of balance, and then recovery of balance. So it's And part of that is the anticipation. If you're, let's see, you got a character that's about to do a run, you could show them anticipating, so basically leaning back to start running, and then the follow through, and then eventually recovering balance, either through the end of momentum and gravity endpoints. So it's kind of sophisticated, but it really is quite simple. It's just by studying the world around you, you can figure out what those things are. And staging was a very important thing too. I just wanted to go back to the staging, and making sure that the audience can be clear on what the story that you're trying to tell, and to make sure that if you're doing a drawing, it can be very clear from the silhouette. If you silhouetted the object, that it could be very clear that it's what it is, even if it was just a silhouette. I remember a fairly famous cartoonist telling me they liked the way I did silhouettes, which made me feel good. I felt like I achieved that, and to do a humor strip and have silhouettes in it and still tell a story, it made me feel good that they felt that way, and I know they did the same thing, and most cartoonists do. But to hear that from somebody that I really admired saying that was a big compliment to me, and I would certainly encourage you to work at that. And yeah, and of course work at your gesture poses. That's something you can do anytime you got a sketch pad, and it doesn't have to be sophisticated. It can just be a stick person, a stick horse, or a stick a stick car, or whatever you like to draw. There's your gesture poses will be very helpful to you. And I think that's pretty much all I have for you today. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom, and I hope everybody learned something. I certainly did.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. That was fantastic. Love to see the concepts, and it's really neat. So we're gonna open it up to some Q&A, and what's great is I can Jeff can answer these questions directly. So if you have any questions, please let us know. What's the question here? Just a question about, did you use a wooden mobile model? I'm not sure what the question's referring to. Oh, the character, for the...
Yes. Yeah, you can use that. That's really helpful. As you say, like a mannequin or like a wooden movable figure. It's really helpful to show the musculature, how the body moves. Now, it may not help with the organic movement. You might have to modify that a bit, but certainly it shows the body parts in perfect alignment and in volume, so that it can be very helpful for that. It can show, like, foreshortening of an arm, the volume of what an arm would look like foreshortened. That's definitely very helpful if you can do that. As far as the motion, that you can't always get them to pose in a way that looks an organic movement, like the pitching motion, the baseball pitching motion that I had there. You might find it hard to get the mannequin to duplicate that pose, but certainly for things like volume and keeping the volumes the same, that's very important. Keeping them similar anyway. And I know a lot of animators who don't use them because they think they get the more static movement by using them. But I think it is pretty important to keep the volumes the same, and they certainly can help you do that. But mainly, I try to keep the volumes the same from drawing to drawing, and certainly if I had more time to work at it today, I could have probably done a better job of doing that. But definitely you want to keep the volumes the same. You don't want it to look like it's a hand is too small from one scene to the next. You want every body part to look the identical volume.
Now, Jeff, do you ever reference photos or video images like for movement or action?
Yes, actually, video is very good for animation in particular. You can look at a video image nowadays, especially. It's so easy to slow down video and watch it in slow motion, and you can see the true movement of the body through the video. So if you're doing like a baseball pitch, like I was showing, or a person falling, or the sheer type of movement, how the body parts move in each part of the movement, it certainly is helpful to do that. And reference, yes, certainly photos too are very helpful, especially for cartooning. If I'm doing a certain kind of motion for a cartoon, and I'm trying to duplicate it, I find if I have the right photo with the right type of pose, that it can be very helpful. Quite often, using a mirror, full body mirror, if you have one, you can duplicate the motion yourself, and you can study the way your own body moves too. So that's another thing to remember as well. That if you can't find it on video or in a still picture through reference material, that if you have a mirror and you have you can move your body safely and comfortably to the position you want to get, you can do it that way too. So a mirror and yourself are all the reference you really need.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I don't see too many other questions here. Someone's just asking if there's a recording. So yes, on Crowdcast, you're registered in this platform. You can rewatch it. So right when we finish, we're going to end broadcast, and then you can rewatch it. It takes about a minute, and you can rewatch it and go through the concepts and look at what Jeff spoke about. So we definitely encourage that. And we're also posting stuff. We slowly put some edits together and post some of these materials on our YouTube channel. We actually have a whole piece related to this that we will be posting actually next week on anatomy that I recorded previously with Jeff. So there'll be a whole series, 4-part video series on anatomy that's coming up next week as well. So definitely, if you go to our website, tbmcs.ca, and then you'll see there's a tab, it says online videos tutorials. You can go to that and see those recorded sessions, or some of these sessions too, we post on there as well. But yeah, through Crowdcast, you can rewatch it. So it'll be definitely great. Yeah, so I think that's all the questions there we have. So yeah, Jeff, I'll just hand it over to you to sign us out.
Well, that's great, Tom. Well, I'm so glad that I was able to do this today. It's a lot of fun to share it. It's a lot of fun to sit down and to actually do the stuff that I talk about. Yeah, I would just say encourage everybody to just sit down with even if you have a sketch pad and a book, or with your iPad or your phone or whatever you're using to draw with, and practice gesture poses, practice having your stickman doing different things, jumping, running, swimming, skipping, whatever your mind comes up with. Give it a try, and even if you don't like it the first time, erase it and try it again. It's really simple. It's a lot of fun, I think, and it may be frustrating the first time or two you try it, but eventually you will get better, and you'll things can only get better the more you work, and that's really basically my best advice, is to just practice and know that you're going to get better. It's just a given. So thanks again, and I'm really looking forward to our next session, which I hope which will be coming up soon.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Really want to thank you for your time and taking us through that. Just once again, want to thank all of our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, and we have our library partners: Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. Just had a question here. People are asking about mailing list for workshops. So yes, you can sign up for our newsletter. It's at the bottom of the website. I'm just posting that again. But tbmcs.ca, scroll right down to the bottom, sign up for newsletter, and then we'll be posting stuff about our winter workshops coming up. Otherwise, go directly to the website there and you can find more our upcoming online workshops. You'll see it right there as well, so you can sign up for those. And Jeff, we have a whole bunch lined up with him for January and February. Really excited for that. So yeah, so thanks again, and have a great rest of the day. Take care.